What's good with the YouTube? You already know Big Flopper with a convict's perspective, and I'm gonna smash, dash, and slide on through that little bit of energy. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all things to help support the channel. Hit that bell notification to get fire content on a daily basis. And so I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more. I did on the Goshen massacre and the arrest of two suspects. Okay, yesterday I just did a very vague one. Limited information was provided. I've been getting different bits and pieces of information about the alleged incident. Okay, now as we already know, some people in the state prison systems, their cells were hit. Um, Now I've yet to find an article that puts the two incidents together, and I've been looking up and trying to do some research. So, like I said before, I highly doubt the NF would put a green light for these type of acts to happen towards a young woman, a baby, and an elderly woman. That doesn't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? So the media has ran and tried to associate them by the title of North Daniels, called the victims Daniels. Now this could be a whole long list of things. I've heard from a couple people that they are claiming to be personal, that this was a personal beef amongst families. But let's just stop it right here, because the truth of it is that we were told a lot of things before. The law enforcement were saying this was a cartel executed type killing. We were told that it was Sudanos from out the area that were working with the cartels that went out there and killed them. And then now this is what we find out, this information, that it was two North Daniels. And then we hear about the NF members and people that were associated with the NF being hit around the same time, and they're calling it Operation Nightmare. So I'm gonna try to pull up a little bit more, but there's nothing that has been able to be proven to my understanding, even though I've gotten comments that suggest that the regiments or anything had anything to do with this. Now, I'm not saying that's not true. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's I'd rather speak an error on the side of precaution as opposed to putting out too much information. Now, you see, 17 news cameras capture operation. So I'm gonna look at a little bit more about this. A quiet, desperate voice responded. They're coming back. They're coming back. They have a 911 call with the dispatcher saying they're coming back. The woman survived the slaughter along with her two others hiding in the house. In total, 6 people were killed of the Perez family. Nearly all were killed execution style, including a 16-year-old girl and her 10-month-old baby. Now that's personal. You know what I'm saying? And this almost makes it seem like this. I wonder if the two suspects that have been arrested, if their family if they're related, because it almost seems like this was a statement, eye for eye. Okay, maybe they killed one of their family members, which has happened. There's been a lot of killings out there in these small towns, man. And that's what really rings bells to me, is that maybe this was a crime of passion, something that was well calculated, and maybe one of their family members were hurt. You know what I'm saying? Details of the Operation Nightmare were released. Okay. The suspects were identified by law enforcement on January 23rd, so they knew and have been under 24-hour surveillance. Okay, that's interesting. This case is very dark. It comes from a very dark place. We remain ready and able to meet these people where we find them and bring them into the light so that they can stand for accountability in the court of law. From the start, investigators believed the shooters were from a rival gang. Or that's not what they were putting out there in the beginning. Confirmed that the suspects are North Daniels. 2 members of the Perez families were known Daniels, living in the predominantly North Daniel community. It's unclear if earlier mentions of cartel involved hold true. Motive is not exactly clear at this point. So they have no idea what the motive is. So there's nothing that is associating them with the Nuestra Familia being involved. Now, local and federal law enforcement officers searched 3 search warrants, 2 Goshen and 1 in Visalia. 8 prison cells across the state were also searched. Okay, I'm wondering, what does that have to do with this case? Okay, so there's yet to be able to try to coincide how. The murky path to justice, they say. Announced the charges were filed. They are charged with 6 counts of murder. Additional charges could be brought up against the men depending on the evidence collected in Operation Nightmare. So, what is Operation Nightmare? I'm trying to see if they have any details about that. Okay, however, there are several laws that can further alter your sentence, including youth offender parole. Let me see. Tulare County decades. But we do know. What do we tell families in this situation, knowing that the California death penalty is broken in California? So that's the death penalty, man. I would be supportive of it in this case with the death of a baby like that, man. Governor, they're asking the governor to reinforce the death penalty in this case. Okay. This is a pretty long article. Now I'm wondering what Operation Nightmare has to do with this case and those cell searches, man. I'm really trying to figure that out, and they're keeping everything under wraps. I don't know if they're trying to paint this as a picture for some reason. Because look, man, this is one thing, man, about both organizations. They do not do. They're not going to take out anybody's family, and they're not going to take out anybody's kids. If it's personal, they're going to go personal. But as of recent, um, you know, I've heard statements of, everything's on the table as far as when it comes to anybody that they're having issues with. You know, if you're an organization like one of these, the last thing you want is attention. So that's the thing about the NF that I know to be true, is that there's certain things that they will try to avoid, as far as not to have the attention by law enforcement, not to have media attention, because therefore it gives it all credit. It gives them credibility that these guys are low lives, these guys are thugs, which is what the district attorneys in San Jose said about what was that 20 something years ago. They went after the NF on a local TV station, calling the NF fucking thugs and low lives and whatnot. Next thing you know, they put a green light on those district attorneys. So the NF has done its best to build its reputation out there in the streets, as far as how they do business, how their operations are. And this case right here, if it was to hold true, would have a little bit of adverse effects, because people are going to have a certain feeling about, the death of the 10-month girl baby. Now, we remember what happened, right? With the murders with the MA that one, you know what I'm saying? With the individual Pilon, and he ordered directives to have this one dropout killed, and they ended up killing the baby. That dude got whacked. Was killed in death row. So none of these organizations support that. Now, that's what makes me feel like this would have to be something personal. You know what I'm saying? The way in which they did it, man, they chased after her. She went and put a baby over a fence, then hopped a fence. It shows that. That just tells me that this was a personal issue, that there was a statement here. And someone threw out the thing eye for eye. I guess there was a couple years ago that some Sureños killed a Norteño in some county. I forgot what county it was. And the Norteños ended up killing Sureño's mom afterwards, because the people who did the beef, who actually killed one of their family members, those guys left. They went back to Mexico. So eye for eye. People do live by the eye for eye sometimes, man. And that's the unfortunate thing, and that's what this case looks like. And these are individuals, like I said, that this is just some fucking cold blooded, cold hearted fucking, killing straight up, man. You would have to think that they would have a plan. Like when they went in there, there was some type of example that had to be set. Whether this was fucking that they didn't like the Sureños living in their neighborhood, which Goshen is more, there's more Norteños, or maybe they didn't like, maybe one of their family members got killed. You could sit there and say, well, maybe those across the border hired them. And you can sit there and try to sit there and say which is the least plausible thing, which would be the NF gave directives for them to go over there and jack these dudes for their loot and their dope. Because apparently they were pushing dope, because they were already got hit for guns and dope not that long before. But what incentive would they have in taking out, just taking out a whole family? I mean, what was the purpose here? And those are the answer, because even the district attorney on this case has said that there's no clear motive. Those are the things that we don't have answered. Now, based upon them being Norteños, it's going to sit there and associate a title with the NF. Now, that does not mean that the NF had anything to do with it. I don't believe the NF had anything to do with it. And if they did, NF did have anything to do with what happened, I guarantee you there was directives. There was never no directives to take out any kids. The person who did it was a young 25-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I don't know what the purpose of this is. That's the whole thing. What was the motive? Because even having the hood conflict and all that, man, that doesn't mean you're gonna go take out a family. This has to be something personal, man. You know what I'm saying? Like something happened to somebody to where an example had to be set, and somehow these two dudes are tied in. That's the only answer I have. Now, we've heard all kinds of speculation and rumors, so we can't go off none of that. We can't go off any of that, because if we do, it's going to be putting out there inaccurate information. I heard at first that it was believed to be some Sureños that were tied in. You know what I'm saying, to the MA and whatnot. That ended up not being true. Then we heard that it was they came from San Jose to go do the hit. You know what I'm saying, some Sureños. Then we're told that it was the cartels that did it, that there was two dudes that were professional, that they had walkie-talkies and all this shit. Then we were told that the last thing that anybody expected was for this to be North Daniels, because the magnitude of what these guys were involved in. You know what I'm saying? And this could have been easily just a contract hit too, as well. Someone that was out there plugged these dudes and said, "Hey, we want this family taken care of." You know what I mean? Let's hit them while they just got hit by the task force. So, there's a lot of games that could be played right here, man. But my gut tells me that this was somehow personal. Whether it was someone that had personal issues with them that hired these guys, or these guys had some type of issue in conflict. And that old saying goes eye for an eye. And if one of your loved ones gets killed, you know what I'm saying, and you're halfway, if you're with that action, there's no limit to what you may do. You know what I'm saying? You may be like fucking wanting to hurt that family as bad as they hurt you, especially if one of them's locked up. Think about that. They're locked up, they go fucking kill your whole fucking family. How's that gonna make you feel like, fuck, they killed them over me? That's the worst fucking feeling. You know what I'm saying? And with this, it's like everything's on the table. There's no, they were going there for broke. They tried to leave no witnesses, man. They tried to kill everybody that was associated with this family and this household, man. And that's a message, man. And in any event, based upon the title North Daniel, that's gonna set precedent out there in the streets. Okay, these North Daniels ain't playing around. You know what I'm saying? So that is the only thing that could maybe be played into the NF's favor, even though I doubt the NF had. I'm 100% sure, man. I'm gonna say 99.9 case, but I doubt that they had anything to do with ordering the hit of an elderly woman, a teenage mother that's under 18, and her baby. That just isn't the NF way. There's no way in hell. I mean, anybody would tell you that, man. That's just, I've heard of them maybe going after brothers or something like that, or I've actually heard him talk about mothers, believe it or not, one time, man. When I was in Corcoran's shoe, one of the dropouts was disrespecting like that now when I was infiltrating the dropouts there in the block, and the homeboy said, "Well, maybe we'll fucking kill his mother. We'll find out where he's located, where his family's staying, because maybe we'll kill his mother." That was told to me directly from a Garnan. No lie, no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But even then, that doesn't go to the extent of a kid. You know what I'm saying? And you know, all these organizations, they're treacherous, man. And with treachery comes war. And sometimes you have to set an example. But even in this case, I can't see them killing a underage female or a baby. An elderly woman, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Someone's mother, maybe. Just to set an example. Yeah, I can see him doing that. I mean, that sends a message to everybody. But a baby, that brings too much attention from law enforcement, man. And that's why I highly doubt that this was sanctioned, man. You know what I'm saying? Um, in any event, man, this is what's been going on. Hopefully, we get more details. My perspective is this: a convict's perspective, man. This had to have been personal. There's a lot of unanswered questions, man, that everybody wants, and even the district attorney does not have those answers. But this is what shocks me. They had these guys under investigation since January 23rd. Okay, they were under 24-hour surveillance. Why didn't they take them in then? You know what I'm saying? In February 2nd to get arrested. Okay, that was number one issue. Number two was, you know, where does this all tie in? Where are all the loose ends to this situation? I mean, what's the motive here? You know what I'm saying? Why did they hit those cells? What does those cell searches have to do with this case, if anything? Or was this just something that randomly happened and they just was added to make it look like something else? I think that the police and law enforcement will have more information than what they're telling you guys or telling the public. And I think that probably next week or two, we're going to probably have some answers as to what happened. You know, I'm just shocked that they let them out after all those days. I'm shocked that those guys were even in their same area like it was nothing. That's what shocked me the most, guys. Anyways, I had to elaborate a little bit more. My last spiel was very short when this broke. This is my perspective of it, man. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't know too much about these individuals, but I have had one person say that this was a family dispute. And then another person kind of corroborated that. I'm not saying that's factual. I don't know because there's so much people who have put a voiced opinion and presented things like they thought were facts when in fact it wasn't reality. You know what I'm saying? And as a hood journalist, right, on this YouTube genre, right, I got to take the path that I don't know. Everything that I stated, that's not facts. It's basically assumptions, insinuations, and they're just hypotheses. It's from the information I gathered from my personal knowledge of how this organization works and how these other groups work. This is what I believe. I think it was an eye for an eye personal situation. If not eye for eye, personal. You know, if not that, it was contract. It was contracted out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't see, even if you're gonna go over there and lay them down for their fucking product, there's no reason to kill the chick and the baby. No reason at all. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, this is your boy Big Flacco, Convict's Perspective. I'm out.